First day at a new school. The girl became the new campus belle simply by relying on her beauty. The former campus belle was jealous of losing her title. She deliberately made the girl sit in front of the school bully so she could get taught a lesson by him. You should know, the last girl who sat in front of Katon had her mouth glued shut with 502 adhesive by young Master Key and wasn't allowed to go to the hospital for a whole day. Unaware of all this, Nenah, having slept poorly the night before, was currently slumped over her desk catching up on sleep. As class was about to start, a group of boys noisily joked around as they walked in. Zanji heard that Ezra. Last night, holy shit. Cyril pointed in the girl's direction, looking utterly shocked. Someone actually dared to sit in front of Katon. Are transfer students always this bold? Katon stared at the girl in the seat, his brow furrowed deeply. Cyril spoke softly, bro. Should I call her? Katon didn't answer. He walked straight to his seat. As he passed Nenah's spot, he deliberately bumped into her desk. But Nenah just tilted her head slightly. Still not waking up. The group exchanged glances, then returned to their seats. The class bell rang. Teacher Zhang scanned the room, flipped through the roster, and took attendance. Your class is still missing one person. Oh right, isn't there a new student? Teacher Zhang pulled out the phone number the principal had given him. Grandpa, your grandson is calling you. A phone ringtone suddenly blared from the back of the classroom. Everyone turned their heads in unison. Then they saw Nenah, slumped over her desk, fishing her phone out of the drawer. Her small hand swiped across the screen. Hello? No answer from the other end. Freak, Nenah muttered and hung up. Instantly, the whole class burst into laughter. Nenah lifted her head, only to find everyone staring and laughing at her. Then she remembered she was in class. Student, you're the new transfer, right? Come up and introduce yourself. Let everyone get to know you. Still groggy and dizzy, Nenah shook her head, stood up, and walked to the podium. Katon watched her. Who the hell is that pretty for no reason? Must be sick in the head. Hi everyone, I'm Nenah. Nenah, Katon murmured under his breath. I feel like I've seen this name somewhere before. Do you know Cyril? He turned around. Katon leaned in, his eyes fixed on the girl. I don't know Cyril. He wanted to ask something else, but he shut up when he saw Nenah coming down. After school, Nenah followed the crowd out of the classroom. Everyone in the class had their own little clique. She was new and didn't know anyone, and she wasn't interested in making friends with them. But she seemed to forget how pretty she was. People who stand out too much always attract attention and can also provoke jealousy from others. No sooner had she stepped out of the building than a girl's voice called from behind. "Hey, stop." Nenah kept walking as if she hadn't heard. "I told you to stop. Are you deaf?" Yura, seeing she didn't stop, tossed her bag to one of her friends, ran up to Nenah, and grabbed her arm to force her to stop. "Are you insane?" Nenah shook off Yura's hand, looking down at the girl, half a head shorter than her. "You're the fucking insane one. I told you to stop. Why didn't you stop?" Yura took a step back, not wanting Nenah's height to overpower her presence. Nenah shook her hand. It was peak dismissal time, and there were still plenty of students around, watching them like it was a show. Nenah hated this feeling. Katon and his group finally strolled out of the building. "Hey, Katon. Isn't that your girlfriend and the new transfer student?" Noel pointed at the two people standing tensely ahead. Katon glanced sideways at Noel, opened his mouth and said, "Ex-girlfriend." After saying that, he didn't even bother with the calm expression of the person next to him. He stood still. He wanted to see just how far the girl who dared to sit in front of him could push it. Yura let out a mocking laugh. "I heard you're the new transfer student in Katon's class." Nenah didn't recognize any battle anthem, but if she said so, then fine. Nenah rubbed her empty stomach. She just wanted to find a barbecue stall and eat some skewers. Stay the hell away from him. Or else. Yura made a fist-clenching gesture. Nenah kicked Yura in the shin. "Don't threaten me." Yura sat on the ground, letting out a pig-slaughtering screech. Her face twisted in pain. Nenah looked at the group of girls behind Yura. "Find a place, and come at me together. Local girls will do." Behind Yura, a girl with a high ponytail stepped forward and helped the fallen Yura up. Nenah narrowed her eyes. She could tell this girl wasn't to be messed with. At the very least, compared to the brainless Yura on the ground, she had an extra brain. The old alley was an ancient lane behind the school, often serving as a battleground for troublemaking teens. Yura didn't even say anything that bad. Wasn't kicking her like that a bit much? The high ponytailed girl set down her bag and walked toward Nenah. Nenah rolled her eyes at the high ponytail girl and said, Netini Silin spoke up. "You try it." Nenah gently put down her backpack. She dashed forward in a flash, grabbed Silin's shoulders with both hands. With a twist of her waist, she flipped Silin over with a loud thud. Silin was left sprawled awkwardly on the ground. After a moment, she struggled to push herself up with her hands. But Nenah was faster. Grabbed Silent by the collar with one hand and punched her in the jaw. There, I tried it. How does it feel? Anyone else want to give it a shot? Come at me. She then glanced at the group of girls behind Yura. Huh? How can you just hit people like that? Yura didn't expect Nenah to actually throw punches. She thought it was all just a joke. Since when does she know how to fight? The air fell silent for a few seconds. Nenah picked up her backpack from the ground and walked away. She hadn't gone far when a group approached from the opposite side, led by a rainbow-haired gang. The red-eyed leader leered at her lustfully. What? You think you can just hit someone and walk away? New girl, huh? You don't know the rules around here. Nenah stared at the sleazy, obese man's eyes, feeling a wave of disgust. Tiger, you gotta help us get revenge. She just hit Silent. Zhang Li, Silin's lackey, jumped in. After all, Fat Tiger had been eyeing Silent for a long time. Sure enough, hearing Silent had been hit. Fat Tiger's expression darkened. He raised his hand and lunged to grab Nenah's neck. Fat Tiger, familiar voice came from behind Nenah. What rules are these? Katon stood behind Nenah. His gaze locked onto Fat Tiger. What, Katon? You want a medal in this today too? None of your business, right? Fat Tiger glared at Katon beside Nenah, gnashing his teeth. Katon ignored the question. Beating up a woman? Real impressive. Fat Tiger snarled, mind your own damn business. Lost your mind, or what? I'm settling old and new scores today. He suddenly threw a punch. A fist aimed straight at Katon's face. Katon sidestepped, then kicked Fat Tiger hard in the gut. Seeing their leader hit, Fat Tiger's lackeys joined the fight. Chaos erupted. There are only 4 people on Katon's side. Fat Tiger has over a dozen guys on his side. Some of them even brought knives. Katon wasn't paying attention for a second. Someone slashed his hand from behind. Bang! Nenah lunged forward and landed a heavy punch right on that guy's face. Half an hour later, at the barbecue stall. New girl, you were seriously so cool just now. How can a girl be this badass? You're making us guys look bad. Cyril thought it was downright unfair. That punch she threw earlier was just too cool. Nenah turned to look at Katon, just wiping his arm with a piece of paper. Dried blood still stained it. While waiting for their order, she noticed what looked like a pharmacy in front of the barbecue stall and bought some medicine and bandages. Nenah put the stuff on the table. Let Katon bandage it. Katon looks at the things on the table. He doesn't say a word. His family's first aid kit is full of this stuff. That knife's a bit rusty. Nenah takes a sip of water, still acting like nothing's wrong. In S-City dialect, she mutters something. Katon freezes for a moment. You're from S-City too? Cyril's eyes light up, staring at Nenah. Yeah, Nenah nods. Oh, I'm from S-City too. Fellow townsfolk, fellow townsfolk. As he says this, Cyril reaches to shake Nenah's hand. Suddenly, Cyril seems to remember something. Nenah, from S-City. Nenah? Even food can't shut you up. Katon grabs a skewer of potatoes and shoves it into Cyril's mouth. I'll eat right away. Nenah has already attended class in the new class for a week. Apart from exchanging a few words with the class representative who collects homework, the rest weren't even on nodding terms with her. After that night, Katon and the others never came back to school. Not that she cared, though. It had nothing to do with her. When school ended at noon, she didn't even go home, heading straight to the barbecue place from last time. The barbecue shop was run by a couple. After ordering, Nenah found a seat and started playing with her phone. I heard Katon and Fat Tiger got into another fight yesterday. Fat Tiger broke his arm. The guy in white sitting behind Nenah said to another guy in black. No kidding. Heard Katon beat up Fat Tiger over some girl. Fat Tiger wasn't having it. Called over 20 guys to ambush him from behind. Beat up Katon. Katon did it for a girl. The guy in white suddenly raised his voice, then realized they were outside. Lowered his voice. No way. Katon fighting over a girl? I'd sooner believe pigs can fly. He never cared about his EXEs. The guy in black saw the guy in white didn't believe him. Explained, I've got a friend who's Panghu's brother. He was there during the fight. Katon did it for that girl. She's apparently mixed race too. Nenah heard this. Started to understand why Katon and the others skipped class. Finished her food quickly. Called the homeroom teacher. Got Katon's phone number and home address. The moment she stepped out of the car, all she saw were rows of villas. Walked up to the villa's entrance. Rang the doorbell. No one answered, so she pressed it again. This time, the door opened. Katon was drying his hair with the towel in one hand. Bare-chested, he peeked out. A cold voice and an annoyed expression. Nenah pursed her lips and said, Heard you got into another fight with Panghu that night. Just checking, none of your business. Katon moved to close the door. Not like she said it was her business either. Nenah pushed back against the door with both hands. Now, it was Katon's turn to freeze. Then he said, "Yeah." And Katon looked down at the girl, half a head shorter than him. Her features are exquisite, possessing absolutely top-tier divine beauty. "Goodbye, Nenah," with a fake smile. Turned around to go home. Turns out, it had nothing to do with her. Then she'll just leave. Watching Nenah turn and walk away, Katon's heart itched like ants crawling inside. No time to think about why. His legs had already stepped forward. Wait, Katon took 2 large strides out the door. Grabbed Nenah's wrist. She turned to look at Katon. Face full of question marks. "Do me a favor." After a while, Katon finally spoke. "Fine, I'll help. Let go first." She raised the hand Katon was gripping. Only after Katon released her did Nenah turn and walk into the villa. Katon stood frozen, shaking his head, not understanding what was wrong with him. Every time he encountered this person, it felt like he'd been cursed. No idea what wire had crossed in his brain. Like a ghost possessed, he'd grabbed her. How could someone's wrist be so slender? Felt like it would snap with a little force. Thinking of this, Katon grew even more agitated. What favor? Nenah sat on the sofa, glancing around at the house. The entire living room was in shades of gray and white, floor-length curtains tightly shut. Gloomy, just like him. Unfathomable. Where's the medicine? Nenah casually flipped through the first aid kit. Pulled out the types of medicine she usually used. Katon didn't answer. Just turned around, exposing his own back. On that lean, pale back, major and minor wounds, crisscrossed in all directions, each more shocking than the last. Seems like new injuries piled onto old ones. So ugly. Nenah's hand touched Katon's back, skillfully applying medicine for him. "What did you say?" Katon turned around, looking at Nenah, who was rubbing medicine onto her fingers. "The scars are ugly." She turned Katon's body back, continuing to apply medicine around the wounds, completely unaware that the boy in front of her had a tense spine. His fingers clenched tightly. Dark, ink-like eyes, harboring a hidden fire. Katon didn't respond to her, only glanced down briefly. The living room was quiet. Only the sound of Nenah's sleeves brushing as she applied the medicine remained. Though only a few minutes had passed, Katon felt like a century had gone by. Done. She put the remaining medicine back into the first aid kit. Got up to wash her hands in the bathroom. When she returned, Katon had already put his shirt back on, pulled a drink from the fridge, and handed it to her. "The phone number you left on file isn't yours." Nenah took the drink, only then remembering that earlier phone call. and the sound of things being thrown in the background. "You called, didn't you?" Katon's voice was hoarse, terribly so. Like the hoarseness of the male voice on the phone earlier. Nenah raised an eyebrow. Neither confirming nor denying. What did he say? There was the sound of something being thrown. Katon stared at Nenah with eyes full of anger, ready to throw things. Paused for a moment. Said, "Let's go. Grab your phone and leave now." Nenah didn't ask anything, just followed him out. Neither of them spoke after getting in the car. Even the sound of each other's breathing was audible. Though in this situation, she should have kept quiet. But Nenah still asked. "You're licensed for this, right? Relax, I won't get you killed." Katon snorted coldly. Suddenly accelerated. Overtook 2 cars ahead in a row. The car stopped at the shabbiest part of Nanjia. This was an old, dilapidated apartment complex in the suburbs, so rundown, even developers shook their heads at the sight. Too many holdouts. The car couldn't enter the alley. The two walked in on foot, following Katon through twists and turns. Finally arrived at a standalone courtyard. A red, peeling iron gate stopped in front of it. Nenah watched as Katon lowered his head and pulled out his phone. He tapped a few times on the contact screen, but didn't make the call. She wouldn't pry and ask why. Everyone has their own privacy. But she didn't want to waste her time standing there like an idiot. So Nenah took out her phone and made the call. The phone rang twice before being answered. "We're at your door," she said, before hanging up. The hesitant boy suddenly looked up. The stunned expression on his face didn't escape Nenah's notice. "What do you want?" The red, chipped iron gate opened from the inside. A young man stepped out. His face was expressionless, with a bruise at the corner of his mouth, though not as coldly handsome as Katon. He had the air of a refined scoundrel. Exactly the type most girls liked these days. "Ezra," Nenah suddenly spoke, puzzled by his presence here. "You know him?" Katon turned to look at Nenah, curious as he asked. "None of your damn business." Nenah didn't give Katon a chance to respond. Turning and walking out of the alley, she sat in the car, thinking back to the moment she ran into Ezra. It had been nearly 7 or 8 years since they last met. Ezra had changed a lot, judging by his clothes and where he lived. Something must have gone wrong at home. Overthinking gave her a headache. Might as well take out the phone and start playing games. Katon and Ezra didn't exchange many words. Most of the time was spent in silence. There were 7 or 8 cigarette butts thrown on the concrete floor. "Let's go," Katon called out. He turned and left without another word. By the time Katon got back to the car, Nenah was already asleep. looking at the girl's peaceful sleeping face. All the arrogance she had shown during the day was completely gone. Instantly, she seemed much more pleasant to look at. He started the car, and the two of them headed back to the city. As soon as they reached the entrance, they saw two people squatting on the ground, playing with their phones. Hearing the sound of the car, they looked up and recognized Katon's vehicle. They quickly stood up to block the way. Cyril pressed against the car window and tried to pull open the rear door. "Hey, Nenah," she was startled awake. Rolling down the window, she saw Cyril and Noelle standing outside. Cyril's mouth was hanging wide open, as if trying to fit a whole egg inside. "What are you two doing here?" Katon blocked the steering wheel with one hand. The other hand lights up a cigarette. Hand resting on the car window. "No matter how you look at it, it's a bad idea. Bro, I may ask if you're still going to Elegant House today. The other guys are waiting." "Just missing us. Katon, you didn't forget about that kid Leo's son. It's his birthday today, right?" Noelle thinks Katon definitely forgot what day it is. With Leo's son's temper, if Katon doesn't go, he'll give Cyril and them hell. That kid's birthday is today. Katon pinches the bridge of his nose. "Totally forgot. You guys go ahead. I'm heading home." Nenah sees this. Opens the car door, ready to go home. Noelle and Cyril immediately speak up to stop her, telling her to come to Elegant House with them. Nenah doesn't rush to respond. Instead, she turns to look at the person in the car. The people in the car didn't say a word either, just minding his own business while smoking. "You invited me." She naturally looked at Katon. She doesn't have the habit of inviting herself. "Piss off, then I won't go." Nenah turned to leave. "Inviting you." Katon was really at his wit's end with this woman. She could fight, sit, and make a scene, and even shut him up. Was there anything she wouldn't do? "Fine, let's go then." After arriving at the place, Nenah didn't expect Elegant Residence to be a KTV. The group went up to the 5th floor together. "You guys go ahead." Katon tilted his head and gave Cyril a few instructions, then walked forward. Nenah followed Cyril and Noelle into the private room. As soon as the door opened, the noise inside immediately spilled out, screaming like banshees. "This is killing me." There were over 20 men and women in the private room. Handsome guy, beautiful girl. The people inside saw Simeon coming in from outside. Turned off the mic. Jing Ji, Yang Ji, and Leo's son walked over. Looked back. Katon didn't come. His tone sounded a bit disappointed. "He's in the restroom." Noelle chuckled softly. No idea what's up with this kid. Always clinging to Katon. Katon was annoyed to death. Nenah sat on the sofa. Cyril and Noelle were fighting over the mic next to her. An uninvited guest showed up in front of her. "Nenah, you really have some thick skin." Silence snorted coldly. Pushed Cyril aside. sat down next to Nenah. Is the Pacific Ocean yours or something? Nenah put down her fork, sat up straight. Silence said disdainfully, whether the Pacific is mine or not doesn't matter. The important thing is today's birthday party. Doesn't Nenah feel awkward? There aren't many people you know here, right? Seems like if Nenah claims second place in thick-skinnedness, no one would dare claim first. Nenah looked at her, smirking faintly. Whether I'm awkward or not is my own business. If anything, I think you're the awkward one here. Once the wound heals, the pain is forgotten. Your memory's pretty short. Silence stiffened. This was clearly a reminder of the day she got beaten. Don't get too cocky, Nenah. This is Nanjia. Silent glanced at her clothes, not even name brand. Just some no-name knockoff. At most, her family's got a bit of money. Enough to send her to a private school like ours. I told you not to threaten me. My patience has run out. Nenah, I'm warning you. Stay away from Katon. He's Yura's boyfriend. You don't want to be called a homewrecker, do you? Silent didn't beat around the bush, laying it out plainly. Nenah paused for a moment, then said bluntly, You like Katon? Shut up. Silent's face flushed instantly. Nenah had actually guessed she liked Katon. Liking someone isn't shameful. You've got more brains than Yura. If she can be with Katon, you could probably manage it too if you tried. Nenah said it with a straight face. But then a familiar voice came from behind. Oh, really? Nenah turned around. She hadn't noticed when Katon had. He was already standing behind her. Zon Katon Silent stammered. Blushing, he looked at Katon, who was holding 2 cups of milk tea in front of him. Stop calling me that, I'm not older than you. Katon walked around the table and sat down next to Nenah, leaning back naturally. He raised his left hand and draped it over the back of the couch behind Nenah. With his right hand, he picked up a cup of milk tea and placed it in front of her. Nenah didn't take it. Instead, she glanced at him and shrugged. Katon, why did you take so long? I've been waiting forever. Is this milk tea for me? Without a word, Leo's son stuck in a straw and took a big sip. I knew it. Katon still spoils me. I love drinking milk tea. This was Nenah. She had seen Zon drink milk tea twice before. The first time was at his place, and both times, it was the same flavor. Cheese Oreo with pearls. That ridiculously sweet thing. Katon gave a non-committal nod. Try it. Katon suddenly leaned toward Nenah, bringing his lips close to her ear, his elbow resting on her shoulder. He playfully held the milk tea, as if he really intended to offer her a sip. The warm, sweet breath brushed against Nenah's ear. Her ear turned from white to pink, then red. The heat on her face rose accordingly, as if a layer of rosy blush had been applied, making her look even more captivating. Nenah chuckled softly. "Shut the hell up," pushed Katon away again. Although Katon is very handsome, he's more handsome and charismatic than many guys she's seen. But that's no excuse for him to act like a scoundrel. Katon was caught off guard by the push. Lying on the sofa, covering his face, he chuckled softly, hearing his own laughter. Katon seemed to realize how absurd he was being. To laugh after being rejected and pushed away. What an idiot. Nenah didn't notice Katon collapsing, but silence saw everything. Katon had only spoken one sentence to her since arriving, and it wasn't even anything nice. Yet he could be so different with Nenah. Others might not understand, but how could she not? She'd known Katon for nearly 10 years. When had he ever indulged anyone? Even his ex-girlfriends could never speak freely around him. Those involved are blind, while onlookers see clearly. She thought Katon must have fallen for Nenah. From Katon indulging Nenah to sit in his front row, and even helping her in fights, all of it was enough to show Silent felt she should do more. Didn't Nenah say it herself? Liking someone isn't shameful. You can even say it out loud. Besides, even that idiot Yura could do it. Why shouldn't she? She raised a hand to wipe the tears around her eyes, rubbing the marks left by her nails on her palm. Silent smoothed her long, silky hair, took a deep breath, and walked softly to the song request station. The screen switched to Cyril's song. Damn it, who the hell cut off my song? Cyril had been lost in his own mesmerizing singing, when suddenly, the original track stopped. I did. Silent stepped forward and took the mic from Cyril's hand. Why cut my brother's song? Cyril had always looked down on Cylin's behavior, using her family's position as school trustees to bully some classmates. Only that airhead Yura was dumb enough to follow her around all day. Yet Silent still pretended to be some innocent, clueless little flower. And the blind fools at school even crowned her the campus belle. It made him sick. But now that Nenah was here, the title changing hands was obvious. Realizing this, Cyril stepped aside for Silent to watch her perform, while he casually took a seat. Today is a Yu's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Silent gripped the mic tightly. The fingertips turned pale from the pressure. The flesh around the knuckles began to whiten. Silent closed her eyes briefly. In the end, she couldn't bring herself to say it despite the deep breath. If liking someone could be spoken so easily, why would she have endured it silently for so many years? Watching helplessly as he dated other girls. Though none of those girls posed any real threat to her. She never even spared them a glance. But Nenah's appearance gave her a sense of crisis. This is a confession. No way. She likes me. Leo's son pointed at Silent by the karaoke machine. Then pointed at himself. His face full of disbelief. Silent didn't interact with him much anyway. A senior in high school and him, just a freshman. How much interaction could there be? Besides, he wasn't into her type anyway. Very likely. Cyril popped up beside them. The private room was stuffy. Lights flickered chaotically. Nenah was getting a headache from the flashes. Her head felt heavy. Her chest tight. She wanted to lash out. Wanted to fight. She left the room. Went to the restroom to splash water on her face. The chill seeped through her body. Much better. She stared at her reflection in the mirror. No makeup. Still bearing some resemblance to her brother in her memories. Was it true that the older she got, the less alike they became? Nenah suddenly didn't want to go back to the room. Just as she pulled out her phone to text Katon, the sound of an argument reached her ears. Nenah ignored it. Keep typing, gotta go. I just finished editing when I realized this isn't Katon's phone number. Turned around and walked to the elevator entrance. But the sound of arguing grew louder and louder. It still sounds somewhat familiar. Nenah followed the sound and walked over. Let me go, I said, let me go. Yura was grabbed around the waist by a man. The man is built like a bear. Plus, after drinking, he was talking nonsense. They have the upper hand in strength. Yura couldn't muster any strength. She heard that today is Leo's son's birthday. Celebrating a birthday at Yash. Katon will also come. She came to try her luck. Save her image a bit. Who knew she would get caught as soon as she went upstairs? She's so unlucky. I should have checked the almanac before leaving home today. Pretty girl, have a drink with your big bro. Just one cup. Disgusting words came out of that filthy mouth of a man. A foul, stinking odor came from the mouth. Worse than a roadside trash can. Yura suddenly felt her scalp tingle with fear. Disgusting to the point of vomiting. Don't drink, let go. Yura pretended to stay calm. Lift your foot and Stopford on the man's foot. You bitch. You refuse a toastingly to drink a forfeit. The man cried out in pain from the punishment drink. Didn't let go of Yura, with a snap. A slap landed on Yura's face. Without another word, he forcibly carried her into the private room. Help me, is there any Oni who can save me? Yura struggled desperately. I hope someone can come out and see her. When Nenah traced the sound to its source, the door of the privateerome slowly opened. She didn't think she was hearing things when she slowly closed the door. The sound just now came from Yura. Thinking of her inexplicable hostility, Nenah smiled helplessly. Just consider it as accumulating karma for yourself. She walked to the private room door. He casually pushed open the private room door. The private room didn't have all the lights turned on. A few dim yellow lights remained faintly lit. The private room was filled with the full stench of alcohol and cigarettes. There are a total of 5 people inside. Yura was sandwiched between the sofas. 2 men on either side forced her to drink. Her head was twisted like a pretzel. Rather die than submit. The man who barged in grabbed Bao Shiki's chin, forcing her mouth open and pouring alcohol down her throat. Nenah leaned against Theodore like a limp noodle. Here comes another one again. At this moment, the people in the privateerome finally noticed Nenah at the door. Then this is still an oil stain. Another man in the privateerome walked toward her. The girl before me had beautifully brimming with charm, looking at him with clear and bright eyes. A slight smile curled at the corners of the lips, laughing so beautifully it pussed the moon and flowers to shame. Truly a sight to behold. A rare beauty in this world, makes you want to try it out. Nenah, help me. Help me. Yura suddenly saw Nenah at the door. Struggling desperately, shout for help loudly. Yo, still know each other. The man's creepy laughter. Reaching out to touch Nenah's face. His hand had only just reached her chin. Haven't run into it yet. Nenah laughed again. Suddenly, she reached out and grabbed the man's finger. With a swift, backhanded force. Fuck off. The man's screams were like a pig being slaughtered. The pain bent his waist over. Nenah didn't even give the man beside her a chance to react. She kicked the man right between the legs. The man was in so much pain that he dropped to his knees, curled up on the ground. The fat on his face was all jumbled together. Face full of pain. So ugly it's hard to look at. Ouch, this grand gift is too much for me to handle. Nenah imitated Amon's tone of voice. The others saw their companion getting beaten. They all rushed towards her. Yura was thrown to the ground. Nenah saw the other 4 people closing in on her. Turned around and wanted to run. After all, they were 4 big, burly men with thick necks and fat heads. She didn't have any weapons on her. Harming yourself to hurt others isn't worth it. But who would have thought that as soon as I turned around to run? Bang! His head banged a dag against the doorframe. What a streak of bad luck. The doorframe of this KTV is actually made of transparent glass. Why aren't you running? 4 men ran up to her. Nenah appears calm and composed on the surface. In reality, those guys got scolded multiple times. You rub your forehead with your hand absent-mindedly. It looks like a bump is already formed. Stupid bitch looking for death. The man kneeling on the ground was helped up. Clamping her legs together and pointing at Nenah while yelling. She kicked the man again. Rushed in quickly. Pick up the wine bottle on the table. And started hitting the man behind her. Both sides quickly got into a fight. Yura saw that she had already started fighting. He also picked up a beer bottle and hit the man with it. Just a few people coming and going. She was never accurate to begin with. Afraid, yet forced to shut me eyes and push through. Yura, you fucking dumbass. The bottle hit me on the back. Sorry, Nenah. I'll start over. Yura was also flustered. Nenah suddenly. Yura shouted and ducked her head. Nenah reacts quickly. Instantly did a backbend. Yura quickly ran behind the man. Gave him a bottle to the head. The man winced in pain. He swung back and punched Yura. Yura was knocked to the ground. The palm got cut by Theglass shards on the ground. It hurt so much, she wailed. Even if Nenah hastrained in Sanda. At this point, they were also outnumbered. The disparity in strength. Soon, they were at a disadvantage. A crowd of onlookers stood outside the private room. No one dared to go in. In the other private room, Cyril and Leo's son air fighting over the microphone. Fight to be the Mickhog. What's Katon up to? It's been so long since I came back. Noelle sat next to Katon. Nenah's been out for so long and still hasn't come back. Some doubts. How would I know you care so much about him? Katon turned his head and glanced at Noelle. Where is this lack of concern? Care about your classmates? A brother who just finished using Theodolet walked to the door and shouted. There seems to be a fight going on in the private room ahead. A lot of people are at the door. I heard it's a woman inside fighting with a few guys. Katon pulled his leg back. Hurriedly walked out of the private room. I don't know why. He always thought the person being beaten in the front private room was Nenah. Wherever she goes, fights break out. Last time I went to the station to hear her trial, the cop said. It was also because of fighting. The frequency of fights with him, Guy, is about the same. Why does she love to fight so much? Katon frowned. Ah, Katon. Where are you going, Noelle? Katon walked out of the private room. Also got up. Go out. Cyril and Leo's son, who grabbed the mic, had no idea what was going on, dropped the mic, and ran out after them. Katon walked faster and faster. Even started running. Just arrived at the private room door. I immediately heard Simeon inside scream loudly. Nenah threw the gaps in the crowd. I spotted the girl inside at a glance. The scene of a man straddling over someone. Like lightning and flint sparks, the person at the door didn't have time to react. was pushed open by Katon outside the door. Bang, bang. Katon didn't say a word. He lifted his foot and kicked Themin on top of Nenah to the ground. Fuck your damn uncle. The captain bent down and grabbed the man on the ground by the collar, punching the man's head repeatedly. The man let out a painful scream. They instantly froze in fear. The man in front shouldn't still be considered a boy. Younger than them by a dozen years, his eyes were bloodshot. He swung his arm with full force. When they got serious, it actually sent chills down their spines. Nenah stood up, rubbed the sore and weak arms. These idiots made her hands hurt from hitting them. Leaning against a table nearby, looking on coldly, Yura stood to the side, not daring to speak, only sobbing softly. Noel and the others saw that Themin on the ground was barely breathing. Breathing heavily, afraid Katon might do something stupid, rushed in to pull him away. Katon, enough. If you keep hitting, someone's gonna die. Noel held Katon's hand to stop him. Katon shook off his hand. He only felt Themis around him, but couldn't make out what was being said. Bro, stop hitting me. Cyril saw that Noel couldn't hold him back. Hold Katon and drag him backward. Several people teamed up to pull him away. Katon's eyes turned red with rage. The strength is at its peak right now. Let them pull Katon all they want. Nenah walked up to Katon. Lift his face. Let him look into his own eyes. She's afraid Katon might get into trouble because of her. Eyes locked in a gaze. Katon gradually stopped what he was doing. Nenah took Katon's hand and stood up. Take the paper on the table. Wipe the blood off his hands and face. Cyril, Noel, and Leo suddenly felt relieved. How long has it been since Sue last saw Katon throw hands? Killing in a frenzy. Police station entrance. Yura's parents stood at the door. Officer Lee, thank you so much. Officer Lee, you must arrest them and lock them up. Make them rot in jail for life. Those damn bastards. After watching Yura being taken away by her parents, the rest of them, they all greeted each other with prior arrangement. And then everyone went their separate ways home. Only Katon and Nenah are left. By the stone pier under the streetlight, Nenah handed Katon a bottle of ice-cold Coke. Thanks today. Katon took it over, one hand holding the bottle, the other hand is slender and good-looking. Clear fingers lightly tap the pull tab. A gentle breeze blows softly. The breeze brushed through Nenah's hair, revealing an exquisite beetlefish-fit face. The young man glanced over absent-mindedly. The heart suddenly pounded. The whole person feels as if being scorched by flames. It burned so badly that he panicked. I could only gulp down ice-cold Coke in my hand. In the blink of an eye, it was already themed of September during the lunch break. Nenah has been in Nanjia for almost a month now. During lunch break, Nenah walked to the snack shop, took out the phone, just unlocked, and then someone knocked it to the ground. Ah, how could you be so careless and drop it? The one speaking was Zhang Li, who was in the same class as Silin. Also, her loyal fangirl. No matter what bad things Silin does, she always had his back and kept watch. Deserves to be called the queen of counter-surveillance. One of them probably has Parkinson's. Otherwise, how could Unit even hold a phone steady? Hahaha. These are Alsalin's little lackeys. Nenah often sees this big group of them. The rural runway shows strutted every corner of the school. Nenah slowly bent down, picked up the phone from the ground, wiped off the dust on it. Silin said calmly, "I didn't realize you had so many dogs. Otherwise, make a tutorial. Let me also learn how you give lectures." Zhang Li took a step forward, pointing a finger at Nenah. With eyes wide open in anger, "Who the hell are you talking about? Fucking bitch." Nenah kept cursing, not letting out a few swear words. Do you really think others don't know you're a piece of shit? What does take a step forward mean? Afraid I can't see the disgusting sores on your face? Ugly people cause the most trouble. Ugly yet loves to act all high and mighty. If you're ugly, stand farther away. Don't block my view. Zhang Li was left speechless by Nenah's retort. Only you can do it in half a day. You what? Get lost. Nenah paid and walked away without a second thought. I just walked out of the convenience store. Someone grabbed my hair from behind. Coincidentally, she wore her hair in a high ponytail today. A strand of hair curled around Zhang Li's hand. Nenah cried out in pain. Two more of Silin's lackeys came running over, pulling her by the arm. Zhang Li took advantage of the momentum and yanked backward with all her might. Nenah fell backward with her entire back. My arm was grabbed and I couldn't move. She couldn't fight back, especially when someone pulls your scalp so hard it hurts. Dragged them to the toilet. Silin glanced at Nenah, looked around again. He whispered to Zhang Li and the others, but she didn't notice there was still another person in the convenience store. The public toilet downstairs in the dormitory building. It's the toilet farthest from the teaching building. Normally, hardly anyone would go there. Just occasionally, the uncles and aunties who cleanse public areas of the school will go. This is the place where Silin and the others often lock people in the bathroom. It depends on that person's luck. Lucky if it comes out during the day. Bad luck came my way. Spend the night there too. Nenah was dragged all the way into the bathroom by them. Silin stood in front of Nenah, said disdainfully, "You seem pretty cock usually, don't you? Today, you still ended up in my hands." Nenah tilted her head back, Silent said with a squint. Tsk, sucha chuna bu phase. You think this is some TV drama? Silent reached out and grabbed Nenah by the collar. Lower your voice. Arrogant, my ass. Aren't you so great? Are you good at fighting? Why did you stop fighting? Keep a low profile, or next time it won't be this simple. Let you off this time. Silent let go of Nenah's collar. They pushed hard with all their might. Pushed Nenah into the toilet stall. She let out a muffled grunt when being pushed in. I even got bumped by a cubicle door handle. The metal sheet on the handle is peeling off a bit. A sharp piece of metal hung from the arm. Nenah raised my hand to take a look. There's a red mark on the fair-skinned arm. There are delicate little beads of blood where the red marks are. It's still continuously ging out. The door slammed shut. She leaned against the wooden partition of the cubicle. Get out the tissues. Wiping the bloodbeds off his arm. I don't know what's being stuck into the door outside while listening. And the sound of pouring water. Nenah thought to herself. You're not going to splash water on her again, are you? He took 2 steps toward the door. Sure enough, pour it in. Silen's voice sounded from outside. Because the door is too high tension. They're not tall enough. Only able to drag it in. Nenah stood on the side near the door. It's just some splashed water that got the clothes a bit wet. But the pants were mostly soaked. Bye-bye now. Nenah finished speaking. Silent and the others left in high spirits. Nenah looked down at her wet pants. Take another look at wounds on your arm. Took several deep breaths. I had to recite the calming mantra several times before I finally settled down. It seems like Somione is crying next door. No wonder they were splashing water outside. She seemed to hear the sound of water splashing twice. Turns out there was Anatha Runlucky bastard next to me. Nenah lifted her leg and climbed onto the flush tank. Glanced to the side. Inside sat a petite girl. Bowing her head and sobbing quietly. Nenah didn't make a sound. Climbed back onto the door and carefully jumped down. Didn't see there was water on the floor. Slipped on the soles. Almost slipped and fell. She took the mop from the next door. Open the door, man. The fish was squatting in the ground. He raised his head and shakily stood up. The school uniform on me body is dripping water. She glanced at Nenah. He quickly lowered his head again. Whispered a thank you. Thank you. The sound of fish biting mosquitos grew slightly louder than before. Nenah listened carefully. Only then did I hear it clearly. Nenah turned around to wash her hands at the faucet. Why did they lock you up? Does this happen often? Look at the fish biting so timidly. Doesn't seem like it's the first time being locked up here. I'm completely soaked. The temperature in Theodolet is lower than outside. The girl's fair arm.
All covered in tiny goosebumps from the cold. She said shakily, "I'm a boarding student." Yu Yang numbly pulled up his clothes, tightened the list to eliminate padding. Back and forth a few times, it finally stopped dripping. Nenah heard the gossip from her classmates. The boarding students at home all come from extremely poor families. But the students' grades are among the best. The school waived the tuition fees. Accommodation provided. Students only need to cover living expenses. But just like that, the cafeteria food isn't cheap for them either. Many boarding students can only afford to eat cheap meals. Rarely touches meat. Most of them are skinny, somewhat malnourished. Arya Yu took a band-aid out of Herpin's pocket and handed it to Nenah. "Here you go. Your arm is injured." Nenah looked at Aryau's outstretched palm. The palm is covered in rough calluses. A crumpled up, a very ordinary band-aid that's wet around the edges. The kind you can find at any street-side pharmacy. Lying in the calloused pool of Yu Yao. Nenah and Yu Yao walked out of the restroom, split into two groups. Yu Yao went back to the dorm to change clothes, and she went to the storage room for sports equipment. In the equipment room, she picked a red and black hockey stick. He picked it up and weighed it in his hand. In the quiet space, only the faint sound of footsteps in the hallway outside could be heard. Heading towards the equipment room, the sound of rapid footsteps stopped at the door. 1 second, 2 seconds, the footsteps start again. Da 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 da. She came in, stopped behind Nenah. Suddenly Nenah turned around. Pick up the baseball bat and swing it down. Ah, the baseball bat hit Yura's head. 5 centimeters away in the sudden break. The terrified Yura clutched her head and screamed hysterically. Quite ridiculous. "Nenah, are you trying to kill me?" Nenah put away the baseball bat, took a step back. He said, "Who told you to sneak up behind me like a ghost?" Yura said impatiently, "Who's being sneaky? I'm completely above board, okay? You're the one who's a ghost. Your whole family is." Before the word swear even finished, Nenah's baseball bat was already swinging toward her. The gust of wind brushed past Yura's cheek. The stick lightly tapped her right cheek. Yura gently lifted the stick from her face, quietly moved back a little. Then he said, "Are you looking for Silent to get the baseball bat? Are you trying to get revenge on her?" Nenah stopped in her tracks. Yura couldn't stop in time. Bumped into Nenah's back, knocked her off balance. Nenah turned around speechlessly and said, "Did you forget to take your meds today?" Yura actually thinks. "I still have some things that are hard to say." Said there wasn't. "I saw it all."
Silent and the others locked you and another boarding student in the bathroom. I get along well with her. It's because I didn't know she would act like this before. I've also bullied other classmates before. But I never bullied boarding students. It's all because they were bad-mouthing me behind my back. I only fought back. Last time I scolded you, I was in the wrong. And also, sick fatty tiger and the others beat you up. In the end, it was them who suffered the loss. But I was also at fault. Don't worry. I won't hang out with silent and those who bully classmates from now on. People who casually insult their classmates are just playing around. So I want to sincerely say sorry to you. Nenah, I'm sorry. Thank you for saving at Yash last time. Yura blurted it all out in one go. Like a machine gun. The constant rat-tat-tat from Nenah's gunfire hurts my ears, looking at her with an innocent and guilty expression. It made her face burn with embarrassment. Nenah glanced at Yura Asif, looking at an idiot. She really didn't know what to say. I can only let out a deep sigh. Give Yura a back view. Yura caught up, walking side by side with Nenah. In classroom 5 of grade 12, some students were reading. There are still some chatting away noisily. I wonder if Thosatwu have come out yet. Are you still crying inside? Confirmed that Bichu Yang never has. Bang! The back door was kicked open with a single blow. Knocked over the nearby trash can. The paper scraps incidentally all over the floor. The chatting group was scared out of their wits. The sleeping student was so startled, they jumped up in shock. Stand up, at a loss. Who kicked the door? Looking for a hot-tempered Guido, slammed the table, and stand up. But seeing Nenah walk in with a baseball bat. Shut your mouth again. Nenah said coldly, anyone who doesn't want trouble, get out. Yura saw that all the relevant people had come out. Hurry up and close the door. Close the curtains while you're at it. Nenah walked past rows of desks and chairs. Standing in front of Silent. Looking into her eyes. He kicked the table in front of her. The table hit Silent in the stomach. Nenah hadn't finished speaking yet. Was hit on the arm by Nenah with a baseball bat. She held back and didn't use her full strength. Yura and the outsiders. Only the sounds of crying and shouting from inside could be heard. Others want to see, but can't. Yura was stubbornly guarding the door. Whoever wants to open the door gets cursed. In the end, someone went to call the teacher, though no one knows who it was. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. The click-clack of high heels on the floor. The homeroom teacher of class 5, grade 12, Evan Jong Nenah, is here. Yura was lying by the crack of the door. Shout inside. 5 minutes later. Nenah opened the door. Without a scratch. Just a bit of hair out of place. Under the sunlight, her fair and pale face turned rosy. Teacher Zhang saw Faith had opened the door. He pushed her aside and rushed into the classroom. Nenah threw the baseball bat into the trash can by the door and left. Yura saw this and quickly ran back to his own class. Back in class, old Zhang was on the podium explaining the holiday arrangements. Nenah filed a report. Go in and tell old Zhang. Be mentally prepared. I got into a bit of trouble. The school will contact you later. After saying that, he turned and walked back to his seat. Old Zhang gave Nenah a puzzled glance. What did you Dodo get in trouble? Are you hurt? Nenah said, Don't worry. It's not my fault. Old Zhang nodded and said okay. I will make sure justice is served for you. You can rest assured. The person behind kicked her chair. Nenah tilted her head and raised her chin. What's he trying to do? Katon glanced at the small fan on the table. Nenah understood. Took the small fan. Thanks for pressing the switch. A cool breeze came rushing towards her head with a buzzing sound. Nenah turned around again with the small fan in hand. Can't even be bothered to lift my chin. Just like that, watching Katon across the way. Her eyes sparkled. Impatiently glared at Katon and spoke. Katon asked, Where did you go at noon? Nenah shrugged indifferently. Do something worthwhile, will you? Katon could figure it out with his toes. She's so indifferent at times. Most likely got into a fight. Katon shook his head helplessly. The tone had unknowingly softened at some point. The voice softened quite a bit. Who's being an asshole to you again? A knock at the door interrupted old Zhang's spirited speech. It also interrupted Nenah and Katon. Teacher Zhang, please ask Nenah from your class. Go to the principal's office. Evan Zhang shot old Zhang a glare. Before old Zhang could say a word. Following the click-clack off her high heels as she walked away. Nenah walked up to the podium. Let's go. Old Zhang, don't be nervous. What's meant to come will come. Old Zhang went out with Nenah in the blink of an eye. The classroom was in complete chaos. What's going on? Every classmate was excited liking each other, bro. What's up since Nenah returned to her seat? Cyril saw Katon and Nenah whispering to each other. His brother's eyes were so tender they could almost melt into water. A slight curve at the corner of the mouth. Those familiar with Katon know he's in a great mood. I'm going out for a bit. Zhang Li also had two little followers and others. standing in the office with a bruised and swollen face. The parent looked at their child with a pained expression, holding their student's hand tightly, asking all sorts of questions. Let me see where else you're hurt. Silent and his mother Mira Feng were sitting on a chair nearby. Mira Feng crossed her arms. A pair of sharp eyes stared straight ahead and said, "Principal, no matter what conflicts arise between students, Nenah from Class 7, Grade 11 shouldn't have hit anyone. He even hit people with a baseball bat. This behavior is utterly despicable. It seriously affected the atmosphere of our school. Must be severely punished." Nenah and old Zhang haven't even stepped through the door yet. I immediately heard of Anjiang's earnest complaint. Old Zhang hurried Lirished in, "Hey. Teacher Zhang said it can't be put that way. I understand the students in our class, especially classmate Nenah. That's impossible to do such a thing. You said she hit someone with a baseball bat. There must be a reason for this. Your classmates must have bullied her somewhere. You've crossed her bottom line." Old Zhang was so worked up, he was practically pinning his finger right in Evan Jiang's face. "Impossible. My student would never do such a thing." Nenah saw this. Look. The corners of the lips curled up slightly. Old Zhang is actually quite adorable. Evan Zhang mentioned her Zhang. I also understand the students in our class, especially Silent. Top 3 in the grade. I've never fallen down before. Spent the whole day studying attentively in the classroom. This kind of student only cares about studying. How could I possibly mess with the students in your class?" Evan Zhang said, as he ratched the last few words, not forgetting Tashu to glare at Nenah. Of course, Nenah glared back at me again. Evan Zhang was so upset his blood pressure shot up. Old Zhang replied, "It's true that classmate Silent has good grades. But our classmate Nenah isn't bad either." All right. The principal took an irritated sip of tea, breaking the verbal pairing between the two. The conflict between these two students wasn't a big deal to begin with. But the problematic ones are the two students, Nenah and Silent. Silent comes from a wealthy family. They're among the top ranked here. What's more, his father was also one of the school directors at their school. And the newly transferred Nenah, although I'm not too sure about her family background, but to have a secretary personally greet him, and she attends such a prestigious school in a city, his family must be pretty well off. You can't afford to fend either side. But after all, Silent's father is a school trustee. We still have to prioritize them first. Then the principal said, Hey. Classmate Silent. Now Nenah is here too. Tell me what happened back then." Silent shakily stood up. Said during the lunch break today, "Me and Zhang Li went to the convenience store together to buy some water. Because I had some conflicts with my classmate Nenah before. But it's already been resolved. I just thought he'd say hi to her. But she ignored me. When she passed by me, the water accidentally spilled on my hand. The water got knocked over and spilled all over her. I had already apologized at the time. I saw that classmate Nenah seemed really angry. I'm a little scared. I ran away. I don't know either. Why did she hit me with a baseball bat? Come hit my friend. As she spoke, she suddenly burst into tears. Nenah almost wanted to give her a round of applause. Oscar owes Silent more than a little golden statue. With her in the entertainment industry, it's bound to reach even greater heights. Nenah said calmly, "You're quite the actor." Mira Fang's voice rang out. Silent closed her eyes. 5. Principal. The school has to give our family an explanation for this matter. Students who casually hit others like this. I don't think she's suitable to stay at our school. Mira Fang stood up and got ready to head out. The principal also quickly stood up, hastily saying that this is for sure. Rest assured, Mrs. Shen. Mira Fang walked up to Nenah. Took a glance. She looked at it as if feet were something filthy. Quickly looked away again. Nenah is just standing there, leaning against the desk. Eyelids slightly lowered, looking down at Mira Fang. Let her take a good look. The eyes are filled with nothing but disdain. Looked Mira Fang up and down. Nenah couldn't help but click her tongue in disapproval, but in Mira Fang's eyes. Nenah, this behavior is extremely uncivilized. Mira Fang shot Nenah Aglari and walked away. When I reached the door, it turned my head and said, "Silent. Can it be fixed?" Silent glanced up sideways, quickly lowered his head again, whispered Downing. Before the word swear even finished, Mira Fang had already walked out in her high heels. After hearing what Celine said, the principal already think it's Nenah's fault. The conversation also leaned towards Silent. Classmate Nenah. Silent has already explained what happened. It was you who accidentally over her water. Soaked his own clothes. Why do you still have to hit people? I want to hear your explanation. Nenah looked at Silin's smug, gloating expression and said, "The explanation is just they're lying, that's all. Crying for your mom's funeral, huh?" Silent putting on airs like a pig trying to look like an elephant with the leak up its nose. You pulled someone's hair. Locked someone in the bathroom. Still splashing water on others. School violence, huh? You're quite the expert at it. Why don't you go fly a kite? Old Jiang hurriedly stopped Nenah's uncontrollable mouth. Evan Zhang angrily pointed at her face and said, "Principal, listen to this. This student not only refuses to admit their mistake, insulting someone and then throwing mud at them. We can't afford to educate a student in our family." Old Jiang gently lowered Evan Jiang's raised hand. Teacher Zhang, you can afford my lessons. You didn't teach, it wasn't teaching my students. Although the words swear a bit harsh. But you can't say she's lying either. We as teachers. You can't just listen to the student's side of the story. Evan Zhang rolled his eyes at old Zhang. Of course, I can't afford to teach a student like this. Lying comes naturally to him. Extremely vile. Nenah walked up to Evan Zhang and said, You can tell how wide the back door at home is open. You don't have to try so hard to prove it. With just your level, you can only teach the eternal runner-up. Always doing bad things. Even our ancestors would rise from their graves if they heard this. Calling someone an unfilial son. Nenah looked Evan Zhang up down from top to bottom. Until the other person's face turned from white to red and then to black. Just so happens Evan Zhang has no way to refute it. She definitely pulled some strings. She has a somewhat inconvenient relationship with ascertained school board member that can't be made public. In this matter, principal, I'm not the one at fault. I hope classmate Nenah can do it in front of entire school's teachers and students. Apologize to me publicly, and fire her. Silent was already looking at Nenah with the air of a victor. His eyes revealed a smug look. As if saying, What's up? Most people believe me. You're just an outsider. Why does Nanjia get to do whatever she wants at home? I just won't let you have your way. After today, go back to where you came from. The principal then looked at the other students. You guys tell me what's going on. Jiang Li was the first to speak, saying it's exactly as Silent said. We didn't even offend Nenah. She went crazy and came to our class with a baseball bat to hit people. Jiang Li knew that Silent's family had some influence. Moreover, Nenah has no evidence to prove it. They were the ones who started it. At this point, just insist that Nenah was the one who started the fight. Her back still hurts right now. This damn Nenah. Sooner or later, she'll have to call back. The other two lackeys also chimed in agreement. Nenah hit us. We didn't even provoke her. This kind of students hold be expelled. Right, then you're fired. You still have to compensate us. It's just losing money. Someone's parents suddenly said, it's really. Several parents are demanding that Nenah be expelled. Make Nenah pay up. The principal made a statement regarding Nenah. Now, what else do you have to say? The principal had no more patience left to listen to Nenah's excuses. A major demerit and expulsion are set in stone for her. Class 5 of grade 12, and the class next to it. Before Nenah came, she had already asked. It said that she could get the door open and stormed in. He started hitting people without even letting them explain. Nenah said calmly. Say it again. She pulled my hair first. Lock me in the bathroom. And you still splash water on me. Silent was furious beyond words. His voice actually sounded a bit choked up. Where's the proof? Where's proof you're talking about? No evidence. No matter what you accuse me of. Nenah, please provide the evidence. If there is no evidence, you have to publicly apologize to Silent and the others. And receive disciplinary action from the school. If the people from Asidino, 4 high school heard this, that must be the funniest joke of the year. Jiang Nan is afraid of getting discipline. Her disciplinary records at No. 4 high school are too many to count. The weekly self-reflection under the national flag. As punctual as the Monday morning meeting. Never default on payments. The students from Sejong have heard it so many times their ears are calloused. There are also Na students from other schools. I came all the way to 4th high school just to listen to her heavenly speech. Just waiting to hear her final cocky remark. He deserves a beating. I really want to hit him. Come at me again if you're not convinced, Nenah said. All right, you want proof? The evidence is here. She raised her phone. The finger tapped twice quickly. Just started playing. Right outside the convenience store. The video of Nenah being dragged away by Silent and a few others while pulling her hair. The video was sent by Yura to Nenah. On the way to the office, Yura had already sent a message to Nenah. I'll send her the video. Just now I was talking nonsense with them the whole time. Just waiting for the video to come through. The video of Nenah has been saved in the phone album. Won't expose Yura. Besides, she still has the recording in her hands. After being pushed into the bathroom, she immediately turned on her phone. Just wanted to wait for Yura. The video is just Silent dying. At worst, she still has her dad to fall back on. Dad earns so much money. It's meant to be spent on her. Nenah's life motto, working hardest, not as good as having a rich dad. Can rely on their dad's connections and ride on someone's coattails. Why bother relying on yourself? She's not willing to endure the slightest hardship. In the meeting room, the school's mid to high level leadership held an emergency meeting. Silent's dad is inside. The homeroom teachers of both classes were also involved. This is regarding the school board members' children fighting incident. In the adjacent reception room, a crisp slapping sound. Silent was knocked to the ground by the incoming Mira Fang. Didn't dare to cry, just covered my face with one hand. Not even daring to lift their head. The other classmates were all quietly sobbing. No one dared to help Silent up. Nenah sat to the side, calmly sipping tea and watching the show. You can tell, Silent is real scared of his mom. As soon as her mom shows up, her arrogant attitude vanished in an instant. Where are your parents? I need to talk to your parents. You have no manners at all. Is this how your parents taught you to speak to others? Jiang Wen walked up to Nenah with his head held high. Didn't even give Nenah a single glance. She arrogantly thinks. A student like Nenah who has absolutely no manners. His family background is nothing special. As long as the benefits are properly delivered. Sign a letter of understanding. It's something that can be resolved if both sides reconcile. Given their family's connections, Silin will only get a slap on the wrist. It's not serious enough to warrant firing. This is a stain on her daughter's life. She absolutely wouldn't allow it. Bang! Nenah slammed the teacunto the table with force. The scalding hot tea accidentally spilled onto her hand. The back of the hand immediately turned red. She said coldly, "How my parents raised me is none of your business. None of your damn business. Not gonna put it on you like that. Do I really have to beg you on my knees to get you to talk?" Nenah rolled her eyes speechlessly. 2 hours later, the meeting room door opened. Following Silin's appearance. Punishment notice for Nenah and others. Because it's an emergency. So the announcement was made that very day. Criticizing Silin, Zhang Li, and others for bullying classmates. But since Silin is not one calling the shots. Just a serious warning. In the final year of high school, you are not eligible for any awards or honors. Removed from student union position. And Zhang Li and others led the fight. Bullying other classmates. The circumstances are vile. Then expel from school. Nenah hit Sumian with a baseball bat. The current situation is unusual. Issue a demerit. All students must review and speak up after the school term begins. Nenah disagrees with school's decision. But there's only one video. Can't hear clearly from far away. The audio is only the latter half. There's almost no chance with such an unreasonable person. Silin really didn't lay a hand on anyone. Just standing by and giving orders. But the school's leadership's covering it all up. Does Silin have power and influence? Nenah is not only powerful and influential. She can also call for backup. It's useless to reason with this kind of person. Relationships are what really matter. She took out her phone and made a call. Last class already. School is almost over. The students were a bit restless. What's more, today's explosive news is truly thrilling. The students in every class can't hold back their excitement. We discussed it all afternoon on the school forum. Nenah returned to the classroom, ignoring the stunned looks from the teacher and classmates. Pick up the backpack and leave. Cyril called her several times. She didn't hear it either. Go downstairs and walk to the open space. I see many teachers there running away. Nenah stood there watching for a while. I don't even know what they're running for. Just about to step away. The phone started ringing. She returned to that reception room again. As soon as you enter, the school staff leaders are seated on both sides. Most of them she didn't know. Judging by his attire, he must be a high-ranking official. There are still 7 or 8 students. Nenah took a closer look. Yu Yao is actually sitting at the top spot too. A middle-aged man. The secretary next to him was pouring tea for him. A man around 40 years old, dressed in a well-tailored suit. Her steps exude an air of noble elegance. Although wearing a smile, but the aura emanating from them is. The aura of the superior left everyone present too intimidated to even breathe loudly. Take a closer look at Nenah. A hint of gloom between Thebros looked just like a man's. The man saw Nenah, waving to her. "Come here, Nanan." Nenah walked confidently and unashamedly to Hartin Jiang's side. Look closely. You could tell her steps were a bit lighter. The leaders on both sides were buzzing with discussions. In the end, it was Thunlucky principal who spoke up. "Chairman Zhang, Class Matenia is your daughter." Hartin Zhang just let out a faint hum. His gaze remained full of adoration as he looked at his daughter. "It's been over a month since we last met. Looks like Evrioni's gotten a bit thinner." When I got Nenah's call, he happened to be nearby. This time I came to City B for business. I was also thinking of picking her Yupin Nanjia on my way home for the holiday. Give Nenah a surprise. I didn't expect it to give him a fright instead. Still getting bullied at this school. Back in City S, Nenah doesn't bully others. Even if others got lucky, it's not someone else's turn to mess with her. Oops. I was just saying this class Matenia is absolutely outstanding. Excellent academic performance. Pretty and sensible. The upbringing of such a student's family must be the best. I didn't expect it to be your daughter, Chairman Zhang. After finishing his speech, the principal secretly wiped the sweat from his forehead. Who doesn't know? Chairman Hartin Zhang of Zhang Group in City S. He came from Namka County. The two directors of the Education Bureau present here today. He was in the same class at school with him. Hanjia County has a total of 2 high schools. Among them were them. During the school's construction period, there was investment from the Zhang Group. Moreover, it's well known Thatherton Zhang dotes on his daughter. A few years ago, a financial news report. The Golden Bachelor, Father Hartinjiang dotes on his precious daughter. Spent a fortune to buy a luxury cruise ship. Just to give my daughter a decent birthday present. That was when everyone found Atherton Zhang had another daughter. That interview. It was also the only one among his many interviews. When it comes to family matters, he spread the word. Tell all those who covet him to fuck off. He can't possibly remarry. They always get whatever they want, even the moon if they asked for it. Give the moon, if they ask for the moon. Today, he's pretty much done for. Those who didn't get involved in this are pretty much done for. The principal feels like he's about to quietly fall apart all by himself. Can only quietly disappear without a trace. Hartin Zhang said coldly, "I'll just say it straight. I'm not satisfied with the punishment given by the school. My daughter did something wrong. The school should punish and punishment is due. I have no opinion. But there's both witness testimony and physical evidence. My daughter was being bullied. The bully's punishment was lighter than hers. Just a simple warning. Shouldn't the school give me an explanation? There were no witness back then either. He just got here, didn't he? Although it's true. But no one dared to say it to Hartin Jiang's face. Principal Chan, the way you handled this matter was really underhanded. Punish students who fight according to the rules. As educators, teaching and nurturing students have both been neglected. What fairness is there between students then? The speaker was Wang Jiheng, director of the County Education Bureau. Also, Hartin Zhangshilchild friend. Yes, Director Wang, you're absolutely right. The final penalty decision is Silin and the others swear, all put on probation. Nenah received a disciplinary warning. After the National Day holiday, I had to make a self-criticism in front of the whole school. Katon just returned to his grandmother's house late at night. Lying in bed. Pulled out the phone. Fingers swipe quickly. He was searching for some old news about City S. He searched for a long time. Not a single useful message was retrieved. Put down the phone. He pinched the space between his eyebrows. Last time at the barbecue stall, I found out Nenah is from S City. He suddenly remembered this one thing. But I didn't take it to heart at the time. Later on, other things happened. He quickly forgot about it. Until today, when he saw Hartin Jiang, he could be even more certain that something had happened to Nenah Carey back then. But I was still young back then. He only listens to his dad. Damien said a few words. He really has no idea what exactly happened. I just remember that incident involving Thejiang family caused quite a stir back then. It's also quite tragic. The eldest son of the Jiang family died at the age of 5, despite rescue efforts. It seems like there will be news of a lockdown. Katon checked again on Nenah's mother. No such person was found. Can't find anything. Katon is tired too. I threw my phone aside and went to sleep. The scene shifts. Nenah returned home to S City to sleep. Woken up by a phone call from the Tang family's little princess, Tang Yile. On the phone, Tang Yile Cretand said she dreamed of Ezra again. That heartless bastard hasn't contacted them all these years. Accusing Ezra of being unworthy to be her child groom. She wants to replace someone. Nenah was really fed up with the noise. Casually mentioned that I saw Ezra in Namka. It's not even dawn yet. Tang Yile went to her place and dragged her out of bed. Forcibly dragged onto the plane. Then take the car to Namka. Go to the place where I last saw Ezra, to look for someone. I've searched back and forth several times, but still can't find anyone. In the end, somehow I still ended up in the red light district. I saw the poster on the wall. Just found out Ezra's competing here tonight. Tang Yie excitedly dragged Nenah inside in a hurry. It made her head feel dizzy and foggy all the time. The whole person's mood is a bit down. The match on the field was nerve-wracking to watch. Cheers and applause filled the air. The next two contestants will now enter the competition. We're all old friends here. Let's give a round of applause to welcome ever victorious General Jiang Wu. The host had barely finished speaking. A full 1.9 meters tall. Muscles all over their body are bulging. The burly man with a broad back and strong build rushed onto the stage. Everyone around is shooting at the top of their lungs. Jiang Wu's voice was so loud it hurt people's ears. Here comes this year's dark horse contestant, Ezra. Applause to welcome Ezra. Ezra. Tang Yie excitedly grabbed Nenah's hand and shook it vigorously, shouting that he had already forgotten Ezra was a heartless scoundrel. Two people stood on the fighting stage. One is a burly man in a tight suit. A thin layer of fabric. Not a bit of it can hide the flap that's dying to burst out and streak. One is Tang Yie's child groom. A frail youth. His slender and handsome face had grown pale. Looks a bit sickly. In front of the opponent. Like a small hill beneath a towering mountain. The crowd erupted in cheers. Tang Yie was extra nervous in the audience. The hands are clenched tightly, as if she were the one standing in the ring. Keep shouting, "Go Ezra," non-stop. But soon Nenah noticed something was off about Ezra. From time to time, he would take advantage of the spare moments to clutch his stomach. A pained expression appeared on his face. It doesn't feel like he's pain from being hit. It's as if he was just thinking about it. Suddenly, Ezra, not paying attention for a second, knocked down by the opponent's punch. Tang Yie let out a startled cry. Ezra collapsed onto the ground. A familiar voice rang in my ears. Calling his name, he lowered his head with a self-deprecating smile. How could I hear her voice in a place like this? That kind of delicate little princess. Someone was standing beside me. Others will forget about him. Struggling to get up. Just got up and fell hard again. A searing pain quickly spread. The pain stabbed sharply into his stomach like a sharp thorn, constantly provoking his nerves. Looking at Chung Ma cheering on the side. On the opposite observation deck, Boss Wang was laughing heartily. He finally realized that he must have been robbed today. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. It's just the last match left. He can get a 100,000 yuan bonus. The referee announced Jiang Wu as the winner. Ezra was carried off the stage. Nenah pulled the anxious Tang Yie toward the backstage. In a certain ward at Nanjia County Hospital, the doctor stood by, looking at Ezra's test results. Your friend probably accidentally took some kind of stimulant drug. Triggered stomach cramps. It's just stomach cramps, shouldn't serious enough to cause a coma. On the way here, the person has already passed out. The patient has been suffering from long-term malnutrition. He has serious stomach problems again, enhanced by drug stimulation. No wonder he passed out. He glanced at Tang Yuling on the hospital bed. Nenah turned and walked out the door. Then Katon had already arrived at the hospital room. Not dead yet, Ezra smiled faintly, thanks to you. The doctor almost said it was accidental ingestion of some kind of stimulant drug. I drank a glass of water before going on stage. Katon pointed at his mom while holding his phone. Someone probably doesn't want you to win. Think about it, have you offended anyone recently? Ezra slowly sat up straight. David Wang. This guy Katon knows. David Wang was the new Viorish of Namka a few years back. Always messing around with shady stuff. A couple of years ago, Katon was still competing. David Wang also approached Katon privately. Let him throw the match. Katon directly pinned him to the ground and beat the crap out of him. He only behaved himself for 2 years. Can't hold back again. Starting to get restless. It's just about getting Ezra to throw the match. Ezra is unwilling. Playing dirty tricks again. Katon cursed under his breath. A dog can't stop eating shit. Then he turned to look at Ezra. How do you want to handle this matter? The two of them discussed for a while. Hit it off right away. Katon recalled the sight of Tanju he saw after entering the door. He couldn't help but stroke his chin and ask. That woman just finished talking about the main matter. Starting to act up again. Others aren't interested in Katon. But the untouchable flower of Nanjia No. 1 High School. The drama of being dethroned from the altar. He's also willing to spend some time to enjoy himself. Ezra is a top student. Hitting parents is somewhat justifiable. It's just a bit poor, that's all. He has a bit of a temper. Not much of a talker, but overall has a much better temper than him. He's pretty much the dream guy for Ezra and those fangirls. What's more, after all these years, according to his guess, Ezra probably had a first love. But I've never seen a person. He never mentioned it either. But there's a hairtie on the headboard. Pink mango head. Precious beyond words. It doesn't look like his thing at all. It wasn't Ezra who answered with absolute certainty. So Katon said impatiently, "What did I say? You're just not." Then it's not. No idea who it was. Eyes are always staring at the back of someone's head. You're staring so hard you could burn a hole through them. Luckily, they went out. Otherwise, it's all gonna go up in flames. Looking at Katon's expression, Ezra sensed a tone of disbelief. When Nenah read her Ned to the ward again, Ezra is already awake. indifferently gazing at the autumn leaves falling outside the window. Katon sat on a nearby chair with his legs crossed. The fingers were curled up, tapping the table absentmindedly. The other hand holding a phone. Not sure who's massaging replying to. Tang Yer sat on a chair a few meters away from the two, staring at the two of them. Look left, look right. Nenah pushed the door open and walked in. That's exactly how it looks. One room, 3 people. All 3 of them have their own hidden agendas. Bought fruits and dishes. Place it on table to the side. Didn't care how many people there were. Put it down and went out again. Katon doesn't want to see Ezra's goddamn face. Picked up an apple and left too. When he got off the bike and found Nenah, I just saw how usually cold and aloof he was. The eccentric Nenah, quietly sleeping on a bench by the roadside. He hasn't even realized it himself yet. I've already lightened my steps. Walk softly to the chair. Place the apple in your hand next to the girl's head. Katon slowly crouched down. The distance between Thetwo closed in an instant. It's like getting closer. He can touch Nenah. His gaze froze. The surroundings slowed down. After a long while, Katon just realized something was off about Nenah. His face was unusually red. Reached out to touch her face. Sure enough, I've got a fever. Just picked Nenah up. She opened her eyes. This was the first time they had ever been this close. Nenah looked up. His lips cold almost touch his chin. Nenah felt completely enveloped by his presence. Every sense in Mibity feels heightened. But there's also a slight numbing, tingling sensation. She blamed everything on herself. Definitely caught a cold. The young man raised an eyebrow, bowing down and closing in. He could even see the fine down on Nenah's face. I caught a faint whiff of rose fragrance from her. Katon's breath was scorching hot. Throat feels dry. Frantically suppressing urge to drink water. Nenah's mind is completely blank right now. But her mouth is a bit itchy. She saw Katon looking down into her eyes. Nenah, who was already flushed, felt her face grow even hotter. The boy's Adam's apple bobbing as he swallows. The masculine aura emanating from him. Nenah somehow sudden lioned in closer.